looks like we are live. So you're probably not hearing this when I'm speaking it because I am running the stream at like the highest latency setting because the internet is a little bit unreliable, and if I don't, there's a serious risk that it just dies completely and no one can hear me or see me, which would be bad. I'm also using a Mac, which means that the quality of the stream is probably going to be lower. I'm sorry. Macs are the best, right? Anyways, once folks can see me, if you want to just let me know in the chat, that would be great, so I know that you can actually see me and hear me, and then we'll continue. In the meantime, I'm going to go share the stream in a bunch of places because more people is more better, right? So let me do that. So... acceptable quality. That's good to know. The stream's bitrate is lower than recommended. Yes, thank you for telling me that, YouTube. Indeed, when operating with a Mac, you sometimes need to lower your standards. You need to bring them down to Apple level. So let's go. Tweet has been tweeted. If you're not following me on Twitter, please go follow me on Twitter. You miss out on lots of great hot takes, and not always hot takes, but many takes. Let's see. Let's go drop a post over here in Discord. All the great folks on Discord will be reminded that I'm streaming, and it's actually working this time. Turn up the volume. Yeah, I think I can do that. Let's just oh, okay, that's a bit problematic. Let's see if adjusting this makes things a little bit louder. Not sure that that's working. Let's try this. Maybe that's a bit better. Hopefully that sounds better now. Ooh, the voice is in mono. Okay, 10 seconds, folks. I need to check something. Properties. That's so frustrating. Yeah, it quite possibly is in mono, and it could become a little bit annoying to fix. Advanced audio properties. Okay, so hopefully that fixes things. If it's not in mono anymore, hopefully it's good now. Someone let me know when you hear. I'm not sure if I have updated it yet for the actual stream, so okay. Well, someone said there we go, so hopefully it's not in mono anymore. Is there anywhere else I need to share this? Wow, 22 concurrent viewers. That's excellent. Okay. Great. So now we're cooking with gas. So yeah, it's been a while. I have relocated as usual, right? I relocate basically every week, it seems. Okay, that's maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but yeah, I have relocated. As you can see, my bed is here, so I'm like a college student again, and my Switch is somewhere over here. So yeah, that is the thing. As usual, I'm going to answer questions, talk about various transit topics and the like. And as always, let me think. I've put the link to the next stream. Did I put the... I put the link to the next stream in the video description. So if you're interested, definitely go and set a reminder for that so you don't miss the next stream. And what else have I done? I definitely did that. I've done many things. Anyways, if you're not already, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Surely you're subscribed if you're watching this, but I probably should remind you anyways, since only like 10% of my viewers are subscribed, I think. And also, hit the bell icon. Come on, folks. It's been static. Let's try to get that curve heading in the right direction. What else do I have to mention, since it has been a long time since I've streamed? Hopefully everyone has been enjoying the content. I've been trying to create lots of videos. I've got my second vaccine dose, which you would have seen if you followed me on Twitter, which means that travel may be a thing in the not so distant future. So definitely hoping to get out to some Canadian transit projects in the latter half of this year. Lots of stuff in the chat. That's always great to see. I'm just opening up some various social media on the left side of the screen. I'm going to try something here. See if I can go like this. See, what was I gonna do? Okay, yeah. Sorry, this has been a bit up and down, but now it seems like things are rolling properly. The encoding on Mac sucks if you weren't here earlier to hear that, and so things may look or sound a little worse, but hopefully you can bear with me. I'm going to start just scanning through the chat. I have, I think, a few topics to talk about today, but before I do that, I want to thank Simon Teese, who sent me some awesome stuff from the United Kingdom. Now, I'm still open to receiving stuff from folks from various places around the world. What I would say is if you want to send some stuff for me to open on the live streams, maybe just send me a message on Discord or Instagram or Twitter and kind of tell me what you were thinking about sending, and hopefully, as long as I don't have that thing, so we don't, pollute the earth unnecessarily, you can mail me some stuff and I'll open it all on stream. So I'm gonna take a look at some of this stuff. So I have this, which is quite cool, the Key from Southeastern in the Greater London area. Then I have a national rail map, which is for the gold card. And I feel like a fool because I don't know what the gold card is, but I'm sure someone is going to say what it is in the chat. I'm assuming it's a sort of transit loyalty card sort of scheme that's here. Some other goodies here. A sleeve, which is quite cool. I love this sort of stuff. A rail card info packet, which is quite interesting. A national rail network map, which I'm going to open up and probably look like a fool, but wow, look at that. It's gigantic. I'm probably going to put this on my wall, and I might put some stuff on the wall behind me. We'll see what happens. If I'm not staying here too long, why would I, right? A tube map. This is awesome. This is maybe the coolest thing. I just love these little pocket tube maps. Though, again, there's way too much stuff on here that probably shouldn't be, because it is not really just a tube map at this point. And then the Southeastern Passengers Charter, which is quite cool. So thank you so much for sending me this stuff, Simon. Much appreciated. Let me take a look at the chat. Alfie wishes me a greeting, and that is much appreciated. Thank you, Alfie. Okay. What do you think of the Kitchener Central Station project? Ooh, that's a good question. So Kitchener, Ontario, where the... Oh, I just hit my desk and now everything is shaking. Apologies. IKEA quality, right? But the Kitchener Central Station project is really exciting. It's essentially taking the existing GO station, which is not near the light rail or tram line, and moving it over and making it like a modern, beautiful facility with, I believe, intercity bus bays, and it looks great. And yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Hopefully there's increased service on an intercity basis. There's the new Via trains coming, which are very exciting. Hopefully someone from Via Rail is watching and you guys can hook me up with a tour or something so that I can make a video about those trains. But yeah, very exciting stuff. Yeah, I think it's a great project. I'm going to continue down the chat here. And I have, I think, some items I'm going to talk about, but we'll see what happens with that. Yes. Discussions of BRT. I believe in Portugal, as well as in Quebec City, as well as the tramway and the potential tunnel and the potential valve system. I don't know why it is that I just haven't talked about Quebec City. I didn't talk about Washington, D.C. for the longest time. The truth is, I'll come to talking about a city when I do. The inspiration has to strike me. If the video doesn't, then it's not going to be very fun. You know, I think when you're sort of inspired to make something or you have an idea, it sort of drives you and it makes it more interesting and enthusiastic. And so the video will come. Have you heard of San Diego Trolley's SDSU Mission Valley? I guess that is a transit-oriented development. I haven't heard of it, but it sounds good. Office space. Oh, San Diego State University. That would be. No, I haven't. I guess it's a new campus would be my guess. That's good. It's probably going to have a lot of draw for ridership. When all is said and done, who will have the greatest transit legacy? Rob and Doug Ford, John Tory, or David Miller? Well, like it or not, it's probably not for me. I think it's realistic to say that Rob Ford will have the greatest transit legacy, right? So just look at the projects being built, right? John Tory, it's been very minimal, right? There's some good stuff, some good sort of quality of life improvements for the TTC, but not much. Oh, did I say Rob Ford? Not Rob Ford. Sorry, that was not good. But Doug Ford, yes. David Miller has, promoted the mass streetcar system, which he did successfully get us to spend billions of dollars on, but I don't necessarily consider that a success. But again, as I say often, I'm happy for any politician to support transit, and even if it's not very good transit, I'm still happy, and I think that, kudos to them for being a better politician than if they were not supportive of transit. But I think Doug Ford, keeping with Go RER and renaming it to something lame, as well as building all these new subway lines and extensions, he's kind of got to take the cake. Of course, that doesn't reflect my beliefs and my kind of views on their general policy, which is quite the opposite for many of these leaders. But yeah, no, I think on transit, Doug Ford might actually be the best. And again, that's probably the one strong point of the current government, unfortunately. There's been a lot of deep frustration I've had with it. But yeah, I think this just goes to show you that the sort of political axes are not necessarily aligned with the transit axes, and I think that's something people forget a lot of the time. The MTA did a poll on Twitter to see what people's favorite subway line. What is your favorite subway line? Maybe 123. That used to be, well, actually, what is the 123? It's like the 8th Avenue line, maybe? I think. No, 9th Avenue? Whatever the 123 is. I spent a lot of time riding it because I have family that lives along the 123. And I think I prefer the IRT. So that's why. I believe the 123 is the IRT. Let's look. Are you going to read the comments? Always do. So Alan has suggested that America and Canada stop doing domestic railcar manufacturing and instead import straight from Europe and Asia and scrap the facilities. Well, I think that might be a bit extreme, but yeah, probably, right? There's better rolling stock options available, but I don't think obviously scrapping all of the facilities makes sense because there is still some stuff we probably want to build. You don't want to be in the case. I mean, okay, it might be a bit silly to suggest this, but why do we have the silicon shortage? Because we don't manufacture anything in North America? Do we want a train shortage? I don't think so. Do you want to wait a few years for your trains? I mean, you already do, but I don't think it's necessarily a good idea. Have you seen the map for California's integrated passenger rail plan? I have not. Just to say, love the video about my city, Bogota. A lot can be covered with all the things they're trying to build. Yeah, it's super exciting, and it's a city I wanted to cover. And there's a lot of cities that deserve to be covered that I don't talk about. Not because they're not great cities or important cities, but because it's just hard to talk about all of the cities. And of course, there's sort of a bias to the global north, so to speak, on my channel, and that's because It's where I live and where I've spent most of my time, right? So naturally, I'm gonna be able to have more opinions that are actually reputable and talk more about that stuff. So that's why. But yeah, it's a very important system in terms of BRT, etc. And so I thought it was important to talk about. I'm going to take a quick pause to say if you've just joined the stream, the link to the next one is down below. Hopefully, I can get back to my regular every 2 week schedule. We'll see what happens. I usually sometimes talk about topics. I have some topics to the side, but if there's a lot of questions and topics, it's often fun to just kind of look at what people are talking about in the chat or questions people have and just talk about them, because I think that's interesting. You know, I do plan over time to sort of deepen the stuff I talk about on stream. And so, for example, maybe sometime I will stream some games or something, or maybe I'll bring another person on with the stream when my internet is in a better place, or when I have a non-Mac, basically, because Macs aren't that great for streaming, as it turns out. I've been trying to shoot interview videos, the sort that I've done in the past. It's been kind of hard because I can't use OBS very well when you don't have the NVENC encoder. So that's that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to mention. Follow me on social media, of course, as I always mention. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon for exclusive videos and some early access when it's possible. And yeah, I'm going to continue along through the chat. I guess what I would say is share the stream with your friends and family. If you're bored, you know, nothing like talking transit together. Anyways, let's get on with it. What are your thoughts on Via's new Bud Coach livery? I'm not even aware of the new Bud Coach livery. There are some Via Rail forums I follow, but they move incredibly fast. It's sort of shocking, and yeah, so it's very hard to keep up with that. Someone saying, "Are you still in Toronto?" Yes. Unfortunately, it is very hot in Toronto, and it is way hotter in Vancouver. Apologies if you're in Vancouver, but I am cooking. But yeah, I'm in Toronto for now. We'll see what happens in the future. That's regular plug to say, if you are from Europe and you want to hire me to work for your train company, I would be down. I think that could be cool. But no, now that travel is a thing again, I definitely do want to travel. And you know, when Japan opens up, as I said in the last stream, I think I'm going to be heading over there. So yeah. How would you rank the rolling stock manufacturers? You know, as unfair as this might be, I think Bombardier. No, okay, I'm not going to bring Bombardier into this. As of late, I really like Stadler. So Stadler's pretty high for me. I also really like Siemens. And then I think Alstom is probably after Siemens. I think what the problem is with rolling stock is that, like a lot of things, so many parts often get outsourced that, I don't know, you can't just say manufacturer, right? Like, for example, Hitachi. Do you think the trains that Hitachi builds in Japan are worse or equal quality to the ones they build in America and maybe Canada in the future? I doubt it. So I think that where it's actually being manufactured is very important, because I think that you know, the standards are much higher in places with good transit, and so any product is probably generally going to perform better there. So yeah, but general tier list, I'd say Stadler and Siemens, Alstom, CAF, Hitachi depends on where. Kinki Shario is probably down here. There's other manufacturers too. I'm trying to think. CRRC. So, but again, like, I'm sure CRRC in China is a bit higher up, right? But even there, I've heard some less than great things. Ooh, gold card is a season card. Very interesting. Does sound very gold tier. Another place I want to go is the UK. So if I have any viewers in the UK, maybe I'll do a meetup. Could you make a video about the crossing system between the North Coast and Gaspé? I'm not sure what you're referring to, but if you want to elaborate, that would be great. I probably look like a bit of an imbecile. for not knowing that. When will the next Go line progression update take place, such as episode 6 on Milliken or on Rutherford Go? That's a good question. I was planning on doing one a while back. A lot of stations are coming along quite nicely. Hopefully soon. I'm trying to do a few station focuses, but then maybe in a month or so, when there's a little bit more progress, I'll do some more of those, because I've covered almost all the projects. If you're wondering why I'm looking down, the chat is there, and I'm not gonna make my windows all weird. This is a Mac, so as I've said many times, and putting the window in the center is a little difficult and inconvenient. What are your thoughts on rubber tire metros? I think they're fine. I wouldn't prefer them, but if you're entirely tunneled, I think they're not the worst. But they're probably not a thing you really need to build very often. How are you doing in Canada? I'm not sure what you're asking. Do you prefer superliners, viewliners, or coach cars? Can I say none of the above? I'm not a huge fan of any of that rolling stock. I guess if I had to choose, I'd say the superliners, but I think that North American rolling stock is not great. I guess that's mainly American rolling stock. I really like the new Siemens Venture coaches. I think they're super nice. So that's my thoughts. Could you check out the BRT in Istanbul? It's very long and exhausting. It takes nearly 3 hours to go from one end to the other. So I've actually been to Istanbul in the past and rode the BRT, which was an experience to say the least. It was a very cool system, the Metro bus. I have my other connections to that system, but suffice to say, I am pretty familiar with it. It runs counterflow, which is kind of cool. There's a very cool interchange I recommend people go check out. At the eastern end, I believe before it crosses from Europe to Asia, there's this interchange where, since it's running in the wrong direction, because a lot of BRTs do that, so you can have island platforms, there's like a sort of cloverleaf thing where it gets back to the right direction so it can go over the regular bridge, I believe. And it's a crazy looping mess. But I might talk about it, but we'll see. Yeah. Do you think it would be a good idea to have a stop near Fort York on the Ontario line? I mean, Exhibition is pretty close to Fort York. I don't think that, you put too many stations. Stations are really expensive, right? So that's going to increase cost a lot. Especially the way we tend to build stuff in North America. Maybe in the long term. I mean, it's okay to leave space to add stations later, but I'm just not sure that I would say it's a great idea now. There's quite a few stations already. Okay. A lot of messages here, so let's go back up. 123 7th Avenue. Yeah, I don't know why I think I said 9th Avenue. Obviously, 10th Avenue is what? 10th Avenue is, I don't even think, 10th Avenue doesn't have anything, right? And then 8th Avenue obviously has the ACE. And 7th, yeah, I should have said 7th. I know it's east, right? So, I don't know. It's a bit of a fail. Okay, trying to climb back up here. I know that it's biased, but could we get some videos about the Nordic countries someday? Oh, definitely. Yeah, well, it depends on what you define as the Nordic countries. There are some videos from that part of the world, hopefully coming in the next little while, and that's another place I want to go back and spend time in. So meetup, maybe, in like a year or two. There's some stuff I want to talk about. So yes, there will be videos. But all of these, obviously I'm aware of all of these different places that have good transit. There are many in the world, and I do want to make videos about all of them. I mean, basically, the faster YouTube grows, the faster I can make videos about stuff like that. Because obviously, as YouTube grows, I make more videos. I can dedicate more time to YouTube. I have a day job. And once we get to that point where YouTube is a full-time job type of thing, then I'll be making my goal, I think optimistically, is almost daily uploads. I think if YouTube was a full-time job and not a side sort of hustle, then I could make almost daily videos, like one explained video a week type of thing. I could do a lot of videos pretty comfortably, because I'm pretty efficient actually with the way I make videos. And that's something I like to I like to do. I like to make lots of videos because I would rather more content because there's so much to talk about, and I would rather just someone needs to talk about a lot of this stuff, and that doesn't exist. So yeah, I'll do videos about the Nordic countries. It will take time, but as I'm doing these explained videos, for example, right? Eventually, I'm gonna have to make a Stockholm Metro explained, and I'm gonna have to do Helsinki trams explained. So these things will come. It just might take some time. What do you think of Poland resuming construction of the Warsaw-Lodz high-speed rail line after a 10-year pause? You're going to hate me for this, but I wasn't aware that... well, I guess I was aware that Poland was building a high-speed rail line. I wasn't aware of the status, but it's cool that it's being resumed. Haha, can we get a video about the Nordiques coming back? What do you think about guided busways such as Adelaide and Essen-Oban? It's a pretty niche technology, right? And the fact that you have to have, well, if it's optically guided, you don't, but if you have to have the guide wheels on the bus, it seems like a very, very niche solution. But I'm sure that there are some places where it maybe makes sense. Which electric bus in Toronto is your favorite model? Why do you think the BYD model is the worst of the three? Well, it performs the worst, it was delivered late, and it looks the worst. So that's why I think that. Yeah. It looks like we have Alan Fisher in the chat. I am sorry, I have taken so long to get through all of these messages that I didn't get to Mr. Alan Fisher's message until now. I just worked my way methodically through the chat talking about various stuff. But Alan is asking if there are any future planned videos with other creators, and there are several, in fact. There might even be a future planned video with Mr. Alan Fisher. I guess we'll have to see. I think the guy asking about San Diego is talking about the Blue Line extension. Isn't that called the Mid-Coast Trolley? I'm not sure. Rarest map you think you have? Ooh, that's an interesting question. Probably some old Vancouver ones that someone sent me, and I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, so that's most likely what it is. A new metro line has just opened in Istanbul. A regular week in Istanbul. Also, Istanbul is currently the city with the most metro construction. More than 200 kilometers of metro line are in construction. Could you check it out? Again, have checked Istanbul out. They do have a lot of metro under construction. Maybe not the most in the world, because actually other cities are doing 200-ish kilometers, but definitely a lot, and it's cheap. Is monorail successful only in China and Japan? I don't think so. I think the Disneyland monorail is quite successful at not being the greatest transit solution in the world, but I don't think it's only successful. What's it called? What's the one in this is the Wuppertal, the suspended monorail in Germany, and I know there's other suspended monorails in Germany and in other countries. It's pretty successful, right? So no, I don't think I would say it's exclusive to China and Japan. There's certainly no reason it should be. Thoughts on the Baltimore Metro? I don't think about it much, but as far as I can recall, there's one line. It's quite short, and it's not great, right? The service is limited. There will be 2 new monorail lines in Bangkok opening shortly. Cool. Do you think it's worth reinstating rural rail lines to connect towns to nearby cities? If so, how would you go about promoting rural train use? I think that when you have to promote something, like, I think that's kind of, it's one of those situations. If you have to promote the use of transit, I mean, to some degree, maybe it makes sense, but your transit should speak for itself. If it's good, I think people will want to use it. I think for rural rail lines, I'm sure a lot of them are fairly straight. Why don't we try to implement some higher speed services so that people can get around faster than they could in a car, and connect them to major cities so that, you don't want to take your big old pickup truck that you're using around the rural area that you live in downtown, right? It's inconvenient. You have to park it and stuff. Maybe allow people to park it at their local station, or walk or cycle to their local station if possible. It may not always be possible. And then get on a train and get them downtown. I think that'd be useful, or to other rural areas, of course. Canadian transit is better than American transit, but Amtrak is better than VIA. Why do you think this is the case? I don't know if I would say Amtrak is really better than VIA. I think on like a per capita basis, there's not a huge difference, right? You might say Amtrak has electrification and and more frequency on some routes. But yeah, America has 10 times the population of Canada, and a lot of the population in Canada is in places that's a little difficult to serve. I don't know. I don't really. The whole Amtrak is way better than Via notion. I don't really agree with. Maybe a bit, but obviously it's going to be better than Via because America is 10 times larger. And I think it's 10 times better or 10 times more extensive? Not really. So that's my thinking. I think they're pretty equivalent. Is California's high income corporate tax regime bad for TOD? When businesses and yuppies are leaving your state, it's hard to justify new TOD. I'm not sure what you're necessarily asking. Um, you know, California has a lot of problems. I don't know that the high taxes are necessarily the biggest problem they have, and I also don't think that in a place where housing is still as expensive as it is, that TOD couldn't be justified. So, is ferry better than bridges? No, not usually, I wouldn't say. Especially train bridges or train tunnels. Uh, What do you think of the? I'm not going to pronounce it. I believe this is an Eastern European city where diesel heavy rail extends through a city's streets on tram tracks. I find it such an interesting concept. I'm not sure I'm a fan. I think that on street rail is already not the greatest thing, and I think that the limited sort of mobility of diesel traction power probably doesn't help its case. But it's interesting for sure. Do you think the era of low floor LRT in North America will come to an end soon, and American metropolitan areas will commit themselves to proper rapid transit? If the trends are anything to go off of, no. And I don't think low floor LRT itself is bad. I just think the way we build it is bad. Like if New York City wanted to build like a streetcar with low floor LRT, or if we want to serve dense, newly developing areas with light rail, then low floor is fine. But for these suburban networks that are sort of like metros or like regional rail, no, they shouldn't be low floor. But do I think they'll continue to be? Probably. Which country do you think is currently working the hardest to expand its transit system? Canada is trying pretty hard, actually. Australia is trying hard, of course. Lots of countries in East Asia, obviously China, Korea. Lots of countries are. I would say Canada's giving it a pretty good shot as a Canadian YouTuber talking about transit. What would it be like if the Denver RTD merged the LRT and heavy rail and converted them all to 25 kV AC metro? Like Indian metros like in Delhi. That's going to be a big stretch because a lot of the LRT trackage probably doesn't have the weight capacity for 25 kV. The turning radiuses maybe, or radii, sorry, going to be punished for that. Isn't sufficiently wide for heavy rail. There's also, you've got to remember that just because there's a wire above the train does not mean the vertical clearances are the same. The vertical clearances needed above 25 kV AC wire, like a 25,000 volt wire, are much more than for a 750 volt typical light rail wire. So you have to remember that. So you might have to raise a lot of bridges, etc., and that becomes very expensive in North America, of course. Do you think there will be a future series on the elements of the Toronto region map design? Could be interesting. I think there may be. It's 10 degrees colder in Valencia than Canada. Climate change. It's crazy, isn't it? What do you think of transit in Mississauga? What do you think of transit in Mississauga? It's okay. Yeah. It's passable, I suppose. Nothing too exciting. I think that it's unfortunate that they're building the LRT. I think it's kind of going to throw away the chance of having a great transit system for the next couple decades. Yeah, it's okay. It's sort of a mishmash of all the other Ontario transit. You've got your surface LRT, you've got some GO train lines, the most central of which has poor service, and you have a transit way. So Mississauga is interesting. Someone is saying, Alfie is saying Mac is murdering this stream. I hope that's a good thing. Is the quality really bad? Is there a way to operate rural services efficiently regarding frequency, average occupancy rates, and speed? Well, remember that if you're operating like an hourly frequency, you don't need that many trains, right? Or even like a 2 hourly frequency. I mean, I think in a truly rural area, a 2 hour frequency is pretty good, like 6, 8, 10, right? That's obviously what 2 hours is. I don't know why I insisted to explain that. Yeah, I think 2 hour frequency is doable, and you have to think, well, if you can get a train going up to like high, like 170 kilometers per hour, maybe 200 if you're lucky, you can go 200 kilometers per hour. So you can cover a ton of ground between trains, which means you don't need to operate that many trains. You might have a really long route that only needs 2 trains, and then you're starting to look at something that might be manageable, right? So that's what I would say with regard to that. What do you think of the Chicago CTA's new rolling stock? Any plans to cover the CTA's network in the future? I actually have a Chicago Future of video. It's really old. I'm not sure if it's even still on the channel. I'm sure someone will say something. We'll see. 10 seconds. Sorry, I had to scroll down here. Okay. Let me go back up here. Sorry, I had to just take a look to see how the stream quality was. Things might be a bit desynced. I took the internet, the encoding on the Mac. It's not great. I'm sorry. It will improve in the future, but frankly, this is mostly an audio experience, so you're not missing much besides looking at my Switch if you're not seeing the video. So let's look at this. Yeah, so CTA rolling stock. The new rolling stock, lame in my opinion. It just looks like the existing rolling stock. There's hardly any improvements, and the improvements that there are minor. And I think that Chicago could do so much better. Like, look at the newest Vancouver SkyTrain rolling stock. Why doesn't Chicago's rolling stock basically look like that? It's better than the CTA stock in almost every way, and I think that there's no excuse, right? So that's my thinking. The L has its work cut out for it. Put ATC in, upgrade the rolling stock, upgrade a ton of stations, and build a few new lines, right? Chicago and Toronto are supposed to be like cities which kind of compete with each other. Obviously, Toronto is sort of ascending and Chicago is sort of declining. But there's no reason that needs to be the case, right? So yeah, I'll definitely cover the CTA again when I can travel. While I complain about it. I think, did I make a video saying it has like the most potential? It has a lot of potential, right? Because again, Chicago is the same size as Toronto, and it already does have a pretty massive rail network, including electrified regional rail. But the service and the quality of the stations and the infrastructure and the trains is just so terrible. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but there's so much potential, right? And there's a super dense urban core. There's all these good things. So Chicago is maybe the city with the most potential, and I keep itching my nose. What can I say? I gotta ask, as a former employee, how do you think Bombardier isn't terrible? Haha, I had to ask. Well, I mean, right, I don't think that painting with broad strokes is ever all that useful, and unless it comes to LRT, in which case. But no, like Bombardier has had some good products, right? And a lot of the products they got in North America in particular, once they got the initial bugs sorted out, which there's usually bugs with new rolling stock. Alstom comes to mind in Ottawa and other companies in other cities. Once bugs got sorted out, the trains are usually pretty good quality, right? And so, yeah, that's my take. It's obviously was not the greatest company in terms of management, but come on, like they created so many good products, and they created the C series. Rest in peace to that as well. Island platform versus side platforms. It really depends on the context, right? That's the answer to every question, essentially ever. Oh yeah, Via's buds have a new livery, and the interiors are much more like the prestige coaches. Oh, that's very nice. Though I do think that at some point the 100-year-old trains might need to go, and we might need to think about getting something new. So it's a little upsetting. Yeah, okay, video audio is desynced. Hey, did you see the new LA Metro model? I saw a lot of hate and comments coming out how every US train looks 10 years old. I haven't actually seen it, so if someone wants to post the link in the chat, I'll go take a look at it and I will tell you what I think. How about an in-depth video about German high-floor Stadtbahn systems? That will definitely come in the future. Do you think a tunnel connecting Lucien Lallier and Montreal Central is possible? And if so, how would it be configured? It's absolutely possible, right? Like, I think you have to remember, basically from an engineering stance, everything but the space elevator is possible. The question is, can it be done for a reasonable amount of money, and is it politically palatable? But yeah, like I think someone's like fantasy plan on a forum where they were suggesting like through running it to like one of the northern lines in Montreal, and like that's a cool idea. Yeah, like HFR doesn't need to use the Mount Royal Tunnel. Things like that can happen. Then again, it would probably be very expensive to build a heavy rail tunnel. Then again, look, what is the Baltimore is building the new BNP tunnel, which they finally realized should only be 2 tubes, right? And it's electrified heavy rail tunnel under Baltimore. It's at least a couple miles long. It's a couple $1 billion. So something similar could happen in Montreal. That would be pretty cool, I think. Do you think the Spanish solution is too expensive to future-proof intersections at Yonge, Queen, Pape, and Danforth, and at Osgood on the Ontario line? Well, I don't think you're going to see Spanish solution put in right now, but the good thing is that most new metro lines tend to stick to island platforms, at least when they're tunneled, right? Because it reduces the cost of some of the vertical circulation elements, like elevators, etc. And of course, that does depend, but you tend to see, I would say, generally a move towards island platforms, which means that you can already add that Spanish solution in later fairly easily by adding more platforms. Which do you prefer, the subsurface or deep level? Subsurface. Trains look way nicer. Favorite American BRT line / system? I like Rapid Ride in Seattle a lot. There's that system in Eugene, Oregon that's pretty nice. The LA Orange line is really good too. Silver line is not great though. How should Go RER expand to Hamilton with CN owning the tracks? Build CN new tracks, negotiate time on CN's tracks, CN move stuff only at night, new tunnel into Hamilton. A lot of options. All of those are possible options. Favorite German transport system, the Berlin S-Bahn. Where have you been to in the Nordic countries? I've been to Oslo. I've been to Oslo, Stockholm, and Helsinki. I would love to go to other areas in all 3 countries. Could you make a video on the cable car system in La Paz, Bolivia? Yeah, no, it's a great system. I will make a video eventually about it, but it will wait because I did do a cable car video a couple months ago, to be fair, but you know, there's a lot of topics, and so, you know, these things don't come up that often, right? I do also want to do some more behind the scenes stuff. I asked people if I should make another YouTube channel, and I don't think they people quite got the message that if I make another YouTube channel, I'm not going to be talking about transit, because if I was, I would just put it on my main YouTube channel. I might talk about behind the scenes stuff, but it's more about video editing and YouTube stuff and production. So, to be clear. Rail Baltic. Someone's just asking Rail Baltic. Opinion on Vermont subway as a red line extension in LA. It would be to de-interline the red and purple lines, but it would mean the red line users have to transfer to the purple to get downtown. I think, you know, if LA is building a subway network, transfers are okay. But then again, right, is there a reason to de-interline unless you truly don't have enough capacity? I think that's sort of the question I would raise. Because is there really that many systems in the US that are like at 90-second headways? Obviously 90-second headways are maybe not feasible on every system, but are there that many systems in the US even with like 3-minute headways? Like if you look at a lot of US subway systems, it's pretty disappointing how many have like a 5 to 10 minute peak headway. What is the worst big city transit system in Europe, in your opinion? Ooh, that's an interesting question. Manchester? Sorry, Manchester. You're definitely up there, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other examples of big city transport systems that aren't very good. Yeah, that's the one that comes to mind to me. Sorry. Have you heard of NPR HS3 Crossrail for the North? Yeah, Northern Powerhouse Rail. There might be a video that touches on it in the next little while, so stay tuned to the channel. I guess since I'm getting towards the bottom of the chat, and I'm going to have to unfortunately end this stream at around 4 p.m. I have some important business to take care of. As always, link to the next stream is in the description, so go set a reminder. Obviously, I'm not done the stream yet, but again, check, set a reminder. What was I gonna say? Follow me on Twitter and Instagram because I post lots of stuff, updates, etc., pictures. So you have an idea of what's going on with the channel. Subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss videos, because I know as a YouTube user that YouTube does not always show you all the newest videos, and it can be a little frustrating. So yeah, of course I release 9 a.m. ish, kind of every other day or so. So you know when to look. But yeah, that's the situation. A lot of messages. I'm going to try to get through them. Cannot guarantee I'm going to get through them all, but let's try to go speedrun style. What do you think about Wales stopping all new road building projects? Seems like a great way to reinvest funds towards public transit. Good idea. I don't think you need a ton of road expansion, but there's, I don't think you need to, I think sometimes extremes are too much, right? I'm sure there are some roads that need to be built in Wales. Then again, I'm not that informed, so maybe there's probably some caches here, but there's some roads to build, surely. Is Wales really not growing? If a place isn't growing, then maybe you don't need a ton of new infrastructure, but that's my thinking. Use of multiple track gauge trains, ? They are used in some places. They should probably be avoided, just like multiple gauges should be avoided, right? Did you watch Nandert's LA Metro videos? Yep, I always have loved them. But there was a ferry who can transport a train across the St. Lawrence. Okay, that's a kind of inter-chat communication. How do you think we can convince people in large sprawling cities to support better transit-oriented development, convenience and cost savings? What do you think of Eglinton LRT to Pearson Airport? It's good. I want a standard TTC line to go to the Toronto Pearson International Airport. What are your opinions on the Tyne and Wear Metro in Newcastle and Sunderland in the UK? It's my local metro. I remember it used to have crossover. I forget the name of the station. Was it like Angel or something? I'm probably wrong. There's an Angel station in London, right? But there was a loop at one point. Cool. It's a cool system. It kind of reminds me of SkyTrain, my home system. The 4-foot is also in the chat. That would be a good collab. I think so. I'm not name dropping. The city's building more metro than Istanbul. Well, Paris is competitive. What is Seoul's? GTX is a ton of kilometers of metro, right? So is the tram train model a great idea? It's an okay idea in some places, like many ideas. Thought on Metro's new commuter trains. I think I mentioned in a previous video, but they're not great, right? They're just like standard North American commuter trains, and if you're going to spend a ton of money, can we not take it to the next level? I mean, Super Tram train replicated the existing Okay, I'm not sure what that's referring to. Yes, Wuppertal, put it over the river. Wait, actually, the Sheffield tram train route is useful. Yeah, some tram trains are useful, for sure. There's a lot of people that could benefit from TOD that aren't rich yuppies that don't like paying taxes. Absolutely. Depends on how far you have to... Okay. What do you think of EXO's CRRC rolling stock? I regret that, as I'm sure EXO does. Helsinki to Moscow high-speed rail. That would be cool. Thoughts on Stuttgart 21? Demystified coming. Eventually. It's been a while since I've done a demystified because they sadly seem to be less popular. Shed a tear. Bike lanes is a message in the chat. Do you think that Crossrail 2 will ever get built? Maybe in the 25th century? Do you think... Okay. Yeah, 25th century. Thoughts on the Mid-Coast Trolley, San Diego's 2019 ridership rivaled the Portland Max. It's good that the system is expanding, but at the same time, at the same time, saying you are competitive with the Portland Max is like saying you're a competitive sprinter with me, which is not that impressive. Why do rail projects take so long? I think a lack of experience in many cases and incredibly complex engineering in other cases. Your new series on external factors should definitely talk bike parking. It's the transit ecosystem, but bike parking is definitely something that's in there, yes. Whoa, lots of messages. Oh my goodness. Okay. Got like 3 minutes. How many messages can we get through? It's a sprint. As of 2030, the city of Brussels will ban petrol and diesel cars. Do you think that will happen in North America? Yeah, like there's already been lots of similar bans announced, though they're not as aggressive as 2030. They're more like 2035, I think, are some of them. What are your thoughts on the Scarborough Durham BRT? Good project. Not gonna shake the earth, but it's a good project. Will you continue to cover Parisian transit? Another place I want to visit. Another place I will definitely continue covering. It's one of the leading transit cities out there. In Burlington, someone mentioned building an LRT. I'm going to stop at Burlington and LRT before I have an aneurysm. Someone on the Discord reported or suggested that if Los Angeles Metrolink did even just 30-minute headways all day, they could outdo LIRR, Long Island Railroad, LIRR, I don't know, I just was reading, and Metro North in terms of daily ridership. I struggle to believe that, but it's possible. Will you ever cover Salt Lake City Transit? I actually covered Salt Lake City Transit in videos long ago. I might cover it again, but there's not a ton going on at the moment, so probably not going to get a major video, but it's possible. I had an explained video about Salt Lake City like years ago. What are Reese's thoughts about the Eurovision Song Contest? My only question is, didn't some like non-European teams participate, and doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of a Eurovision Song Contest? I would like some subway extension to Mississauga. That would be really cool. I'm right there with you. Yeah, rest in peace C-Series for sure. I did a quick search of your videos, and going by titles, it looks like CTA analysis is not still on the channel. That's sad. I definitely had a Future of Chicago video, though there was not much going on. I'll do some CTA videos. They'll come eventually. Like, there's a New York City Transit Explained, obviously coming for the subway, but it's one of those things where, yeah, that video is going to take me a month, at least, to make. So I may be taking my time. Subscribe, you know? As I grow larger, the demand for these videos will grow larger. Should Via Rail expand its long-distance network and bring back discontinued services? Yes. To specify, by foot, Lucien Lallier and Gare Centrale is 10 minutes apart. Yep. Super jealous of your Nordic travels. It was awesome. I got to travel a lot when I was young, and it was really cool. In which Reece starts an ASMR channel. I don't know if people would be into that. Thoughts on European cities becoming petrol-free and only electric? Obviously good. Air pollution is bad, and so is climate change. Mumbai Metro video when? It will come, eventually. It's just a long list of videos to do. What's your opinion on the Statbahn concept? I talked about it a lot in my LA Metro Demystified video, or there was a video about LA where I talked about it. Maybe it was... Look at my recent LA video, and I talk about it a lot, which is why you should watch every video. You never know what's going to come up. Can you do a video about the Wellington trains versus the Auckland trains? The Wellington trains have nothing on the Auckland trains. Come on. What's the worst LRT system in North America? I'm sorry, VTA, but we both know that abandoning a route was a step too far. Worst big city transit? Well, Melbourne is not a European city. What's your least favorite TTC station? I think for me it would be Castle Frank. I actually like Castle Frank. I think maybe Islington is a candidate, or like Glencairn or something like that. Do you know about the transit plans for Dublin? Metrolink, Bus Connects, and Dart Plus? Yes. Brisbane trains often every 30 minutes, including Airport Line has gaps of that. Yeah, not great. I think a lot of Brisbane trains are like every 15 minutes, no? That would be disappointing if not the case. Thoughts on Helsinki area transit? I got to ride the trams a little. It's pretty nice. I believe there was also Metro, which I think I was unaware of at the time I was in Helsinki, but this is why I want to go back to the Nordics. Please make a video on the Delhi RRTS next. the next video that I make has always been in production for a while. So even if I got this amazing suggestion to do a video on something, it's going to take me time to make it. My videos on India haven't performed that well, which is why I haven't made a ton of videos on India. But I will talk about the Delhi RRTS in the future, but it's just not my top priority. I struggle to say. Maybe it's in the 6-month time window. Are you in Toronto or Vancouver right now? As per earlier in the stream, I am in Toronto. University of Toronto. Not that that has anything to do with where I am. What is the biggest North American city that doesn't have a transit service? I don't remember, but it's probably in like the Midwestern US, and it's very hurtful that it exists. Monument, yes, okay. Alfie has got me. Have you heard any of the preliminary rumblings about a ferry from Toronto to Niagara? There are preliminary rumblings about that seemingly every few years. Even in Auckland, the trains are 30 minutes apart on major lines. Unfortunately. What? Demystified is my favorite series of yours. I guess you gotta get more friends watching them. Because, okay, and like this is something I don't talk about in videos because it's a little depressing. But Demystified, the videos used to easily get 20,000 plus views, and now like they're getting 10,000 views, which is sad because I don't necessarily think the projects have gotten smaller in scope, but like I guess the Australians just love their Demystified videos because those ones always do well. But yeah, it's hurting. So yeah, go if you haven't, go watch a bunch of Demystifieds. I think they're pretty good videos. I've always liked them, but yeah, they haven't been performing great, which is why I've made less and less of them. Which is typically how you know why or what will make me make a video. If someone invites 1 billion people to watch one of my videos and it does great, well, I'll probably make more videos like that because I am trying to cater to what the audience is interested in. I thought Phoenix would be the worst since it's one route in the middle of a sprawl. Phoenix is not great, but there's density along part of the system, and frankly, they have a very nice automated people mover at the airport, which I wish was just the way that US cities built their whole transit systems. Frankly, I think it would be better than light rail. I thought, okay, sorry, I was about to reread this. Seattle's Link Light Rail 6.9 kilometer extension opens on October 2nd. I believe that's Northgate. If so, exciting. It's good stuff. What do you think of the Boring Company loop in Vegas? It's a people mover fundamentally, right? Like, using cars kind of sucks. Using cars that are not automated sucks even more. But like, it's always been my opinion. If they design a nice bus, not a car, a bus, for those tunnels, which was originally the plan, then it can be a good system, right? Like, it's just a people mover that if they can do it affordably, then more power to them. The cars thing, no, I'm not a fan because obviously it's not super accessible. Especially if you have to walk around the other side. Like, what it should be is like a big rectangular automated like glass pod like they had in the original renderings where like someone in a wheelchair can just roll right in, and if they do that, then cool. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to them creating a good system. Like, I believe they've got the cost of tunneling down, which is actually important. Like, that's not an illegitimately important thing. The problem is obviously that putting cars in a tunnel is not innovative. But yeah, if you can get the cost of tunneling down and building some stuff, then sure, it could be a good thing. Most sprawl cities in the US, not sure what you're asking. Columbus, almost 900,000 and no rail. Well, that's no rail, not no transit. VTA, from personal experience, almost functions as commuter rail. It's not great. What do you think of the Front Runner? Lots of potential. I think I've mentioned in previous videos, would be a good system to electrify and expand service on. I've used it before. It's pretty good. Level boarding, Bombardier bilevels. It's always an example I bring up is Front Runner. Who else is excited for the Line 2 Scarborough extension? Yay! Trolley buses, yay or nay? As I've said before, there are certain cases where trolley buses make sense. There are far less, I think, cases than typically people think. Because, again, I think there's a big disconnect often between transit fans and planners and operators, right, who have to deal with the mechanics of day-to-day operations. And the simple truth is, I know lots of trolley bus operators and planners, schedulers, and the like in places where they have trolley buses, not battery augmented, but trolley buses in many cases probably wouldn't be. You know, they're just not super reliable. Like, sorry, it's reality in Vancouver, and I don't think Vancouver's trolley bus system is terrible, right? I just think that, you know, there's a very specific case where trolley buses make sense, right? Probably steep mountainous terrain where batteries don't make a ton of sense. But I do think like batteries clearly need to get better for so many reasons, and they will continue to get better. And a lot of the benefits of trolley buses also exist on battery buses. And if you don't have to invest in infrastructure, you can buy more buses and electrify more routes. So that's my thinking. Speaking very fast. How will the new July Patreon stations affect property values? Good question. Want a station on the Patreon Metro map? Consider supporting me on Patreon. Also, I do a monthly actual call with patrons where I chat with people. We talk about everything going on. So definitely consider supporting the channel on Patreon, and you get your station. Got plane tickets booked to ride the Northgate extension when it opens in October. The 4-foot somehow manages to get to every city in the U.S. in an incredibly short period of time. It is shocking. The construction videos are second to none. The Wellington Trains network is actually better than the Auckland trains. I don't know why you said nothing. I didn't say nothing. I said the Auckland network is better, and I believe it's better. I love your videos on all countries, but your Delhi Metro video was such a great underdog story that I went and researched further and found out that India is making many world-class metro systems. Hey, that's what it's meant to be, an underdog story. It's a great system. No transit. Try the high-populated suburbs of Dallas or Atlanta. I believe there's some transit in the suburbs, maybe just not rail transit. How do you plan to do a video on small to mid-sized cities and towns? Yeah, for a long time I have, and I think I will continue to. I will make it eventually. Transportation in cities versus suburbs. I'm doing this sort of suburban transit series, so I'll probably talk about that more. I've watched trolley buses stall in a snowstorm in Robson in Vancouver. Yeah, look up Vancouver trolley buses. Snow. You'll see one of the potential issues with trolley buses. Albeit, again, if you put batteries on them, then yes, they're much better. But then, if you're suggesting a battery bus is bad, but you're putting batteries on trolley buses, that's just a battery bus with in-motion charging, right? So obviously, some sort of hybrid approach makes sense. But if you have buses traveling through a really sparsely, populated area, which many bus routes do, then putting up wires for the whole length doesn't make a ton of sense, right? So it's a classic. Some places it makes sense. Some places it doesn't make sense. Broadly, it probably doesn't make sense. I think it's a niche technology, but there's lots of room for niche technologies, right? I think trams have the benefit of static infrastructure with more capacity. Anyways, I'm at the bottom of the chat. Speedrun complete. If you enjoyed the stream, please set a reminder and come chat with me on the next one. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. I am back to streaming. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon and follow me on Instagram and Twitter and joining the channel's Discord server to talk to great transit enthusiasts from around the world and myself. And if you have cool stuff to send to me like Simon did, then please send me a message. Anyways, thanks for watching the video and joining me on the stream, and I will see everyone next time.